And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Small craft advisories here for the south coast tomorrow for north to northwest winds at 25 knots. And for the north coast, north to northeast, 10 to 15 knot winds. Small craft advisories for northerlies at 25 knots for Stevens Passage and Lynn Canal, and northwest at 20 for Clarence Strait. And for Tuesday, central south coast or the south coast there, north to northwest at 15 knots. And east to north winds at 10 to 15 knots on the north coast. Lynn Canal north at 20, Stevens Passage north at 15 and northwest 15 for Clarence Strait. North Gulf Coast tomorrow, northwest winds at 15 to 20 knots. Northeast at 15 for Prince William Sound, variable 10 to 15 knots in Cook Inlet. Good gales blowing out of Kamishak Bay there through the gap, up to 40 knots out of the west, northwest 35 knots for the Barren Islands with 8 to 10 foot seas. And then for Tuesday, a little bit pickup in the winds here for Cook Inlet, west-southwest 20 to 30 knots. Gales continue for Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands for westerlies at 35 to 40 knots. Prince William Sound, west wind at 20. Eastern North Gulf Coast, variable winds at 10 to 15. Small craft advisories for the western North Gulf Coast, where those winds will be out of the west at 25 knots. Kodiak Island, west winds 25 to 30 knots tomorrow. The Alaska Peninsula, north to northwest 15 to 25, and northwest at about 20 for Bristol Bay. Southwest 20 knots for the bay on Tuesday, and for the peninsula, southwest to northwest winds at 15 to 20 knots, and Kodiak Island west 25 to 30 knots. Fox Islands tomorrow, north winds 25 knots, northeast at 15 for Adak and Atka, and then pick up in the winds there from Kiska to Shimia south 30 to 35 knots. And for the western Aleutians on Tuesday, southwest to west to northwest winds at 20 knots, southwest 15 for Adak and Atka, and eastern Aleutians, west winds 15 knots. And for the southwest coast, tomorrow we've got west winds in the forecast at about 20 knots, southwest 20 for Norton Sound and St. Lawrence Island, variable at 20 for the Pribilofs, and southwest 30 for St. Matthew Island. No change there for the northern or the Bering Sea here. St. Matthew Island southwest at 30 knots. Southwest 25 though for the Pribilofs. Southwest at 20 for the southwest coast, St. Lawrence Island. West at 15 there for Norton Sound. Chukchi Sea tomorrow. Southwest winds 15 knots. Western Arctic coast southwest at 25. In fact, brisk wind advisories for all of the Arctic coast for the central and east side anywhere from 25 to 30 knots. And for Tuesday, brisk wind advisories continue for the Arctic coast, and that's for west winds 25 to 30 knots, and for the Chukchi Sea, more of a variable lighter condition there at about 5 to 15.